infrastructures and overworked drivers. These are the reasons for all the accidents. And so why do we need a data? Okay. So we need data following reasons. So if you don't know where the problem is, you cannot fix it. You need to first identify the problem. Okay. So if you so the data will help to identify where the problem is. So for that, you need to find out where the accident happened and when it happened. One data I found out. Do you know when the most accident happened here? Saturday, early morning, 2 a.m. You know what the reason? Friday, weekend. Friday they go for a party. They drink and so leave the party at midnight. So most of it happening 2 a.m. Saturday morning. So we know. And also from the data, we know where the more accident happened. So we give the data to the police officers. So what they'll do, so they put more officers in this area. Even if they don't find the officer, what they'll do, they'll go and put a car, just a cop car, the lights on. They will just park it and come back, So that will avoid, that save a lot of lives, So we need data, we need to find out where is happening, when is happening. And what are the major causes for the accidents, distracted driving. And nowadays we found the phone, being on the phone is a major, one of the upcoming reasons, because cell phone, the people are texting, driving. So the government put a law. Okay, you cannot text and drive. You have to use like hand-free devices to use your phone. Without the data, they cannot make the law. And drinking, driving, mechanical failures. These are all the reasons for the driving. So the data help to identify what is the root cause of the problem. So once we find the root cause, we'll try to fix it. And this is how the system is working, So here in the project, the main data collector is our police officer. So they know. So when the accident happened, the police officer, they're in the spot. So the police officer trained to use our system. So the system, we have all the possible fields, like hundreds of, I think more than 200 fields. What is the driver name? What is the license plate? And what is the age of the driver? Is he, all medical history, is he drunk? What is the location? What is the car he drove? So all the information, all the possible information he captured. So some of the officers, if they don't know, how to use the system, they have a paper system. They can write it and send it to us. So we'll put it in the system. So most of the officers trying to use the system, they type it in and send us the data online through XML. Okay, and then we have to parse the data and save it in the database in our system, crash database. So there is another team, engineering team, to check on the quality of the data. They run a lot of reports, make sure the data is very good, because the government going to use their data, so they're going to make sure. So whatever the data coming in is good. So there is any problem with the data, we'll go back to the officer. Okay, hey officer, go and fix the data, and they'll fix it and send it to us. Okay. So once the database is ready, so various people, they are accessing the data. Citizens, insurance companies, government, court. So everybody using the same data. how they are going, how they are using it. So we'll see. Let's see some of the examples. How the government utilizes the data. Okay, so the seatbelt law. So so we'll make first they need to make the car companies to add a seatbelt. Before like a 10 or 20 years ago, there is no, some of the car don't have a seatbelt. They push the car companies. Hey, these are the data. We see the people are dying because of the without using the seat law. So if you don't put the seat belt, we cannot sell your car. The government pushed the law there, right there. They make it a law. And I'll give you example. Uh, four of us in the car. Okay, so we skip the stop sign. Okay, so it's our mistake. So we crash into the car. So the other car is a flipped, and our car is also flipped. So like four of us in the car, all are wearing seat belt. The other persons, he also wearing seat belt. Our cars are total, but nothing happened to us. Why? Because we all wear the seat belt. Okay, so without wearing seat belt, so say five lives would have been lost on the day. Okay, so these are all the government push all the laws. Okay, so to make it law, we need a data and no cell phone. So we see the trend. Okay, now there are so many accidents happen because of the cell phone use. So we'll give it to the public. So if you want to save the life, so this this is going to be a law. So for that we need a data and speed limit. Some places accident happen because of speed limit. The speed limit is too high, so then they reduce the speed limit. Okay, this area because the visibility is less. Those areas they reduce the speed limit and fine reimbursement. Okay, so they put a fine. If you break the law, if there are more accidents, the fine will be higher. Some places are like thousands of dollars. We have to save life. So the government uses the data also to educate the public. They ran advertisement like for a teen. For the teenagers, they'll put a nice advertisement. They educate. They put advertisement TV or newspapers, and they drink and driving consequences. So automobile. So this very big thing, So the government push all the to make nowadays the cars are very safe, So we have seat belt and ABS, auto brake, the car brake itself, and if you change the lane, it will indicate you. There are a lot of decision the cars are making for you. The cars are very safe nowadays because the government push all the regulation. And seatbelt wall, some of the cars they won't start if you drink. The new cars, I heard about it. If you drink and sit in the driver's seat, the car won't start. Okay, they put some detection mechanism there. And if you don't put a seat belt, it will keep on blinking. It won't let you drive without putting a seat belt. And airbags, auto brake. And nowadays the cars should have the rear mirror. When you pack up, you need to have the rear camera. So new regulation. And then nowadays GPS, Bluetooth. And courts, lawyer, police department. So the data is using to punish people. So we have if you break the speed limit law every 10 days. If you break the law like 3 or 4 times, your license automatically revoked. So you can you cannot drive. You cannot drive if you're breaking the law continuously. So to that, you need a data. You need to track who are all the offensive, who is making the. Hello? Yeah. Um, and the TOT, Department of Transportation, they are using, they're putting a new traffic lights, where the accident happened. So we need to find the location. Okay, this place, the traffic light, if you put the traffic lights, it will save a life. And to build the bridge or roads, alternate roads, we need data. So all they're getting data from us, from our database. So to make one-way roads, increase or decrease speed limits. So all are based on the data. And media. So media, they use data to write the article. The statistics. If you put a numbers, if you put a number, okay, every year there are like thousands of people are dying. So okay. So we need to take action, and they compare the trend. Okay, what is the upward trend? What is the last year fatalities or this year fatalities, upward or downward, and what is the lead cause of accidents and the dangerous location. If public know what are the dangerous location of the accidents, they'll be very careful next time when they go there. So media are using all these data. So that's all I have. So do you have any questions?
Dear students, if you have any questions or clarifications, you can ask our speaker.
Okay, so yeah, reach me out if you have any questions, or by email or letter. If you send me email, or we can anytime we can clarify your doubts. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Savari.
You're welcome.
Okay, we are on time actually. Krishna,
Yes, sir.
give a couple of minutes break and start, or how do you want to do?
Yes, sir. If the student have any questions,
Okay.
let them ask, and then we'll have a 5 minutes break in between.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, dear students, if you have any doubt or clarification, we can ask our guest speaker.
So what type of database you are using in your state government?
Yeah, we are using Oracle.
Oracle.
Oracle database, yeah.
So what tools are you using in the data science area? Are you using any specific tools for specific reasons for the data analytics or data science related stuff?
So data analytics. So we are using just Oracle queries to generate all kind of reports.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe I'm out of the project now, but maybe nowadays they use they maybe work on they may use some analytics tool on that. When I was there, we used Oracle queries to generate all kinds of reports.
So the accident data, suppose if I get accident, So I hit someone. So the both parties involved. This data is confidential data.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. Yes. But when we generate a report, we just give the numbers. Okay. When it's going to the, but when the courts, the police department, they can access the data. They should know who is involved. But when it's going outside the world, so we don't give PA information. We just say numbers. Okay, these are the number of accidents happen. These are the number of fatality happen. Yeah. So there is a level of access. Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. I have one doubt. Okay, so nowadays we are using the driverless cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Suppose if the accident happened to that particular driverless cars, how will the police department get the data?
Police department. So you're saying, I mean, the police department will go and investigate, but the problem is, right, it's a good question. The problem is who to blame, like the driverless car, in the sense, the driver, somebody will be in the car. So whether the software needs to be blamed or the person will be blamed, that is the main problem they have. So it's a good question. The government is still working on it, because when you drive and hit the car, so you put in the jail, right? So if there is no driver in the car, who are you going to arrest? That's a problem they have. That's why the driverless car, it's not in the market. They hit one person, so they stopped. The law is not proper, so they stopped immediately. So the laws are evolving. So in future, I don't know whether software to blame or the driver to blame is still evolving. So it's a work in progress.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Does it include only the road accidents, or it's a train on air accidents?
Yeah, we only involve car accidents, but there are some accidents. The car did a train also. There are some report, car with drivers. I mean, car with the train. But we mainly focus on cars. But if a car hit the or vehicle, any vehicle hit the train, then yeah, that's also there.
So what qualifications you would expect for data scientists? Suppose if you would like to hire someone, what do you need?
So so we require some database knowledge, right? So, or any database, SQL. You should be familiar with writing queries, okay, and RDMS concepts. So how the data is stored. Yeah, basically the data, any database or knowledge is appreciated. It's very essential. Yeah.
Okay.
So once again, sorry to disturb you. If anyone they don't follow the traffic rules, if they cross the speed limit or if they don't follow the lane, they'll get a challan. I mean, fine. Okay. In US, so how do they get automatically?
I mean, they have cameras. So if they monitor you through satellite also. So there are technology, so they can monitor your speed, and they can find out your car license plate, right? So based on the license plate, they can track you. So if you drive your car, so obviously they'll track you. If you rent a car, then the ticket will go to whoever rent a car, whoever rental information. So based on the number plate, they will track you.
Students, if you have any doubt or clarification, we can ask. Otherwise, we'll have a short break.
Yep. Thank you, Savary. It was a wonderful session.
Yeah, you're so welcome. And thank you, students. And yeah, I'm very happy to see you all. And I wish you good luck. Okay. All the best. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Okay, we can have a few minutes break. Cool. Coffee.
Okay, now we can have a 5 minutes break and then
I'm going to have some
begin
coffee.
our next
So I'm
session
going
at
to put video on.
10:05 IST. 10:05 a.m. IST.
I had chai.
Did you have your coffee yet? Welcome.
Chai.
Chai, okay.
How long Savri are working for the government?
Looks like he's working for another next 20 years.
No. How long so far?
Once he get into the government, it's very tough to come out of this.
Yeah.
Like
You
you.
don't, maybe he doesn't need to come out, right? He gets a pension.
Yeah, that's true.
Eddie said he's going to join, but I can't find him.
Yeah, couple of our folks told me too. They will join. I don't
Yeah.
find them too.
They are already brilliant.
So you guys all in California, lock in order, not stepping out of home.
We are still
Not like that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Our governor troublesome is a problem.
So from last March, the furthest I traveled is to my mailbox.
Really?
Yeah.
That you are very obedient guy.
You didn't go to even a shop?
Yeah. So what is it?
You didn't even get to a shop? Like
No, it's all
go
delivery.
grocery store?
No, it's all delivery comes in. And I have a full gym in the basement, so I'm just working inside and in our garden. That's all.
I'm not that Brazilian. I go to the grocery store. Right? I go to the temple.
Okay. I miss that area, Mani. I used to live in Mission Viejo. You know Mission Viejo, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like 20 years back still. Yeah, still I miss that area.
Now you can't buy a property there. It's totally
I
grown
have not
up.
been to many places. I came to Detroit and
Mani, are you sharing it or they are going to share your presentation?
I can share.
So in that case, just try it out and see.
Okay. Let me. Can you see?
Yep.
Yep, it's visible.
It's nice. Good.
Okay, I welcome you all for the second session. Now I hand over the session to Mr. Mani Aiyer.
Okay. So let me go. This is about me. Already Bertlam has explained to you what I do. Currently, I am a founder and managing partner of a company called FINTELIS, and what we do is basically do financial technology. When I say financial technology, there are many aspects to it. You can consider banking to be financial technology. You can consider other money markets to be a financial technology. From my perspective, I am working on investment business, right? Like where you invest in stocks and institutional investment management and wealth management. That's my core work area. So that's what I do. Okay. So I studied my bachelor's in St. Joseph's in 88 to 91 and 91 to 93 masters. Betlo, myself, Murli, we are all friends. We studied together. And I joined with Jigalata and other people in the MSc course because that's what we did. I've been working in this financial industry for more than 20 plus years. So my first job was in a small company in Madras and or Chennai. And that was 600 rupees per month. That's what I earned. And then my second job was with Citibank. And I was in Citibank for a year in Anna Salai. Actually, it was Nucleus Software Exports. Now it is called Polaris Software Exports or more. And now it's already sold, I think. It is, I don't know what it is now. But I started with them and I went to Citibank Singapore and I stayed there for 2 years. And then in '96, I came to the US. And I love music. And Betlam and I share a lot of music. I know his favorite raga too, so I love that music. So that's my thing. So enough about me. So next, let's go here. I'm going to start in a different way. What is data science? Everybody has a definition, right? Like I have a definition, you may have one definition. Actually, course may define a definition, but I have kind of a different take on what a data science is. Let's go through the raw definition. I read it. This is the closest I could get. Yeah, data science is an interdisciplinary field that uses scientific methods, processes, algorithms, and systems to extract knowledge and insights from many structural and unstructured data. Many structured and unstructured data. This was the most relevant thing that I found what pertains to data science. Like, let me peel back a little bit, right? So if I say 50, number 50, what does it mean to you? Nothing, right? If I say 50 degrees centigrade, does it make any sense? Yeah, it makes sense because it denotes a temperature, right? Now, still, it doesn't define anything, right? So let's go a little step further. I said it's 50 degrees centigrade in Dubai. Now you feel that it is very hot, right? Like you feel very hot. Then I peel back and say, hey, it's 50 degrees centigrade. It's halfway to water boiling point. Now it makes it a little bit different. It's not that hot when you consider water, what temperature is. Let's go back to another example. Like if I say $50 or 50 rupees, does it make any sense to you? Probably not, right? Like if I say $50 is the price of a stock, then it makes some relevance to it, right? So what I think is, if you consider the data itself, the $50, is all data good? So if I say plus 50, right, plus $50, does it make sense? It may make sense, but is it a good data? If I say negative 50, is it a good data? So these are all comes back to your perspective of how you look at the data itself. For example, like my friend Murli, who works in the risk management, he will say minus 50 is a bad data because it doesn't rank him for the amount of risk that a person has to take to earn an amount of money, right? So there is a risk advantage. From my side, if I am a short, I will come to a different type of trading. But if I am a short trader, like I'm doing a short on a stock, then minus 50 is a good data for me because I want the stock to go to zero so that I can make the most money possible. So I'll come to the definitions later, but that's what I think. So the data science itself is a kind of I would say a canonical representation of what field you are in, right? Like if minus 50 might be a good data, for example, severious problem where you want to reduce the number of accidents, but minus 50 might not be a good data for me. So it's all a perspective that we come upon, right? So let me go to the next topic. What is data engineering? Who is a data architect? when does data become more important or effective, right? So who is a data? Like I want to define a data scientist when I take all these together, right? A data scientist will be a person in my mind who is basically going to take this definition of the data and then make it respected with the business itself. For example, if I say $50, the data scientists will define what the $50 means to the business, right? Then, because a business is not a one entity thing, right? Google is one company, right? But if you think of a financial company, there are many divisions within the company. So the $50 itself will represent what to each of the persons in the life cycle of what they are doing as a business, right? So when you think about that intersection makes it a lot different. So yes, in my data scientist role, what I will do is I will define what that $50 means to that business. Okay, who is a data architect? The data architect, by definition, will create the infrastructure, create the way the data is going to get assembled, what is the best way to get assembled, and build the effective ecosystem so that the data scientist can operate on it, right? So you have a $50, the data scientist says, this is what will make a biggest difference for the business. The data architect will come and say, okay, I'm going to define how the architecture of the data is supposed to be. So who is a data engineer like me? I'm like a plumber, right? Like I build pipelines, basically pipelines between everywhere, and then connect all the systems together. I will wear some data architect hat, but that's what I am going to do. But I will be a data engineer by thought because I'm the one who is programming the data to come in. So that's what data we will discuss about it, but this is how we should think. So when we have all this information, then once the definitions are constructed, once everything is done, then the data becomes important or effective, right? That's when it becomes important or effective. I'm going to pause here. And if you have any trouble hearing me or have questions, just let me know. I will move on. Everything clear? Okay. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to go to the next slide. So when I said financial technology, I'm talking corely about the investment management systems, right? So what is an investment management system? Say, for example, like you as a person, you want to invest in stocks. I go and I have, say, 1,000 rupees, $1,000. I have 1,000 units, let's assume that. I want to buy Google, right? You want to go and give to a broker. The broker will say, okay, I'm going to buy 2 stocks of Google and then give it to you, right? Now you are an owner of Google. So when the stock grows up, you make money, then it goes down, you lose money, but you wait and you make money again. So that's what you do. So, right? So now an investment management system has 2 broad categories. One of the category is called the buy side. Another is called the sell side. Sell side is defined by market makers like Goldman Sachs and other people who bring stocks to the market. For example, if you have a company, if you start a company tomorrow, and you will have something called an initial public offering. So there's something people call underwriters. So who has to underwrite the stock? And those people like JP Morgan, or they have sell-side business. On Goldman Sachs, it's a sell-side business. In India, there is a lot of companies who do that as a business. So they will take that business and then represent it as a stock market, and then come to an exchange. Like you can go to what is Bombay Stock Exchange or New Delhi Stock Exchange or I don't know whether Madras has a stock exchange, but anyway, so you will have a stock exchange where you get to the data, and then that is the other side of the market, which is called the buy side, whereby, say you are an individual, you have the money, and you invest in a company. Company, they basically manage your money to buy and sell stock so that you, in the long term, get a benefit, right? So that's what they do. So that's, I work on the buy side of the market. Sell side is not that very interactive or very complex, because they start with $1,000, end with $1,500, $500 is the profit, they are done. But buy side market is totally different, because you are going to own the stock, you are going to manage it, you are going to have a long-term vision, short-term vision. There's a lot of things happening, right? So in the buy side market, there are 4 key people nowadays, right? One is called the portfolio managers. The managers are the people who would basically take you as an information and manage your money, right? They are managing your money, basically. That, let's keep it simple like that. And the second category is the traders. So once they say, manager will come and say, hey, for money, buy this stock, because that is his nature of holding money. So that's the way it works, right? So they come and tell me, you buy 20 of Microsoft, 20 of this one, 20. So it's a balanced portfolio for him, and he can have something going. And traders actually go to the market, do the buy and sell, right? They are the one. How they go, they have a special relationship with the brokers and the exchanges, and then they do it. Recently, because of a lot of fraud happening within the system, financial system, risk office and compliance became a huge thing. So compliance is nothing but, like, you can say, I don't want to invest in tobacco. I don't want to invest in a SIM stock. I don't want to invest in something. So you can say that, right? So then the manager, portfolio manager, has to, even though he may sense that there is a good value in buying those stocks, the compliance officer will come and restrict you from buying the stock, and then try to find something suitable or a substitute for that stock, right? So that's what the compliance officers do. And then there is more risk calculations and other stuff that people do. And the fourth is operations, where they relate to different types of entities outside of the organization, and they will interact with investment accounting system, they reconcile accounts, they do commission management between everything, because somebody has to make money. So that's what they do. So these are the 4 main category of people in buy-side marketplace. Then what is the division of services, right? Like, so if you see, people have different types of roles to play in the whole trading system, right? So there's a front office, there's a middle office, and the back office. But nowadays, middle office and back office are merged together more, right? There's not much of a difference. But previously there used to be, because one person is going to send via fax, and then the other person is going to carry the fax and actually do something with it. So there was different, but now systems are more versatile, more advanced, so they can use that, right? So I'm going to go to the next slide. So as I mentioned before, who needs data, right? Portfolio managers need the data to manage the customers and the firms directly. So I work for a company A, and that's investment management. They have customers, and they have to manage the customer accounts and all those stuff. Plus, the direction of the firm too. The firm may say, oh, we want to expand in this market. We want to expand in, say, overseas investments. or European investments, or Middle East investments, like our African investments, EMEA trades and India and all this stuff. They can invest from here, from US, and invest in countries in other countries. So they may want, everybody has their own secret sauce, or the way which they make the money, right? That's as a backdrop, US is a financial country, right? It's it's not a communist country. It's a more financial, market driven. Everything is market. So these are very correlated to that market. Okay. So, and traders who do the actual trading function, like I said. Then after operations does the settlements and all the stuff. Like once you buy the stock, they will send the money to buy the stock and then give you a paper that you are the proud owner of the stock. Things like that. So you don't really see the papers nowadays, but that's what happens behind the scenes. And there is investment accounting systems, which is separate from the trading system, because they maintain the accounts and then they maintain the history of history of portfolio, 30 years history, 40 years history, some things like that, right? That's what they do. And compliance officers and risk do their own functions for preventing abnormal things. Like, for example, in the US, there is a law called Dodd-Frank rule, whereby, so what happened is, this interesting thing happened. Sometime back, we had something called algorithmic trading, right? So what I can do is I can make my computer go and say, if the trade goes above 1%, every second, every tick on the exchange, meaning like whenever I trade buy, there's two people, right? I have a buy and a ask, right? I have two people asking for a trade. And then what happens is when one person goes up in one exchange, I buy it in that exchange and then sell it in another exchange. So what happens is I am making on every tick. That's called tick trading. So what happened is with that tick trading, the market actually came to a halt because of Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a city in the US, which is in Pennsylvania state. And then there is a New York Stock Exchange, which is New York, right? So these two exchanges had this problem. So that permeated to many stock exchanges around the country and outside of the country too. So because there are people who put their money in Cayman Islands and other areas, remote areas where they can invest in America too, but there's no tax implication on it. So what happened is that tick trading happened and then it just broke the system. So compliance officers came and said, no, you can't do this because it is wiping away people's entire wealth who have accumulated over a period of 50 years. Like a lot of people have done that and it wiped it away. So compliance officers came and said, okay, we need to make a law called the Dodd-Frank rule, whereby you cannot do tick trading. So including me, we who are data algorithm guys, we had to go in and change all our algorithms not to allow for tick trading. So because of the Dodd-Frank rule. So that's the kind of effect it can have. It can even bring a whole capitalist market down. So now coming back to buy-side technologies and division of services, who are the major players, right? There's front office players. As I said, front office is the place where you actually use a system to do the buy and sell and trading. Charles River Development was the number one in the trading system platforms. And now it is State Street. The company State Street took over Charles River. And I worked part of Charles River for 5-6 years. And BlackRock is the second company who do mainly on a type of asset called fixed income. There are two types of investment, which is fixed income and equities. BlackRock does more of equity, fixed income, and SCastle is more geared towards hedge funds. Okay. You may want to look for hedge funds and everything, or ask me separately. I will explain to you how it works. But just remember that it's hedge funds. And the middle office is for people who say, like, say, for example, who reconcile our trades, right? Like there's some, I say I bought Microsoft at $50, and then the broker says, no, we bought Microsoft at $50.01. So somebody has to reconcile that whole thing. So there's a company called Omgeo. Now it was taken over by another company called SSNC. So that they do that work. And the back office is mostly the investment accounting system like Eagle, Advent, Geneva, APX, and Access. These are the major players that I know of. And there are other people too, but they hold the market share of the whole market share of the US. So like let's go back and peel back a little bit on front office investment management system. What type of data that we actually use in our day-to-day work? Yes, security. Security is not security we are talking about. Cyber security or system security. Security means a stock. Microsoft is a security for me, right? Then there's an account. Account is for example, money. If I have $1,000 and I have a bank account, like I can say the bank account is an account, right? So a bank account is a place where you have money in it, right? Now, imagine that instead of holding cash value, you are holding a set of stock in it, right? Like you have Microsoft, you have Oracle, you have some other stock, right? You have those are the composition of an account. So when you have account and you have security, it's called a position. So your position comes in two flavors. One is called the short position, and one is called the long position, right? Long position means you are holding it for a long time. Short position is a totally different way. It's not holding for a short time. You are trying to make the market go the other way. So that's what the position means. So that's called a position. But some people may call it holdings. It's no different. It's the other way around. Like when you look at from the security side, they call it holdings because you hold the security in an account. That's the reason it's called holdings. If you look at from the accounting side, they call it position because it has a characteristic where it is a long or a short. So that's the two different types of reference. So when you look at from the accounts, when you have many securities, it's called a position. When you look at from the security side, these are holdings in many accounts because Microsoft can be held by Bertolome, myself, Murali, a lot of people, right? So it's called holdings. So from a company standpoint of view, it's how you look at it. So, but remember, the security account are the main thing for financial accounting, right? Financial investment management system. Okay, now let's go to the third data point, which is the performance. When I say performance, right? So usually you need to compare, right? So if you run a race, 10 people run a race, you got to compare yourself, right? Like you cannot just, you have to do comparison. So when you compare, you have something called benchmarks. There are benchmarks are something that are provided by a lot of companies. They say S&P is an index benchmark, right? Like S&P is a benchmark. You will hear a lot of Bombay Sensex is a benchmark. So what happens is you say like I have $1,000, and then S&P is some points, right? Or Bombay Sensex. Let's take Bombay Sensex as 3,000 points. Now Bombay Sensex went up by 3,000 to 3,500, and you went up by 1,000 to 1,500. Now you both made 500, but relatively who made better, right? That's a percentage. So if you see the percentage, 500 divided by 1,000 will be 20%, right? But 50%. But if you see 500 divided by 3,000, it's only 1/6%. So like it will be 33 something, right? 18% or something. So, but since you have to compare, so you have beat benchmarks. So that's how performance works. So that's a big data point. And then you have something called models. Models are something that are provided by the portfolio managers. Then there is an interesting thing that is coming up, which is called the risk and the quantitative technologies, whereby people are using statistics to determine where can I fix my data point so that I am having the best investment possible, not profit possible, best investment possible, right? So now I can say, this is my risk in making $1,000. This is my risk in making $2,000. You can say, I want to make $5,000, but the risks are high. But it's okay, but that's what people want to do, right? So there are data points people look for so that they can understand what risk they are taking to get to that level. So at some point in time, you can have, I want $5,000, but my risk is here. But what can happen is everything can fall down too. So you got to be understanding of the market, how it works. And then there are some ratings and rankings, like there are companies which provide ratings. They say, hey, this fund is very good, this one is very good, and things like that. So there's A+ rating, B+ rating, AA rating, like there's so many ratings and companies available for that for you. So that you can buy stuff, right? Buy and sell stuff, basically. And the next one of the investment management systems is what type of investing you are doing. So, for example, people trade currencies, right? Like I buy India currency. Let's assume I buy India currency, and then I think that India's exchange rate will go up or go down depending on it. So my $1 investment will have 75 rupees. If it goes up, then I sell it at 76 and then make 1 rupee out of it. So that's called currency investing. So there is an exchange for it that's called foreign exchange exchanges, which is called Forex. You would have heard about Forex, Forex. That's one thing. There's a second level, which is equities, which is basically the common stock. And there's many other types of equities, which is ADRs and all that stuff. But think of it as a common stock, right? That's one. Then I talked about fixed income, right? Fixed income is nothing but debt. So you can buy corporate bonds. You can say, I want to buy a mortgage bond. Mortgage is nothing but your EMR, whatever you pay. And what happens is the bank gives a loan for you to buy a house. And then what they do is they take all the people, like 10 people buy a house in Bombay. They're relatively rich, right? They relatively pay back the money. So they have a good rating. So they pull all those loans from, say, for example, I buy a house in Bombay, Bartolom buys a house in Bombay, Murli buys a house. So we are all three good people who will pay back the loan. So what they will do, bank will do is they will take all of the 3 loans and then sell it out in the stock market, which is called the mortgage-backed security. So they will sell it out in the market. So when they do that, they are making money out of that too. So somebody is investing in something called a debt. So because the loan is a debt, so somebody is doing it. And derivatives are much more complex. I'm not going to deal with it. There are some things called swaps and options and all those things, which is derived of the basic stuff. Remember that derivatives are something derived. Okay, it's a d by dx or something. So sorry for my math thing. So what is the markets and future directions in financial technology itself, right? Like right now you would see everybody is talking about cloud, right? Cloud is, this is an interesting topic because when I used to work for Intel, we talked about cloud in a different way. when we talked about cloud, we were talking about infrastructure as a service, right? IaaS. So when we said infrastructure as what does it even mean, right? So infrastructure as a service is basically saying I will provide you the servers and the data and all the storage and everything, and then I'll give it to you in a service model, right? Like you use it as a rent, I will pay. Like you pay me rental money, right? Basically, that's what it was. But if you extrapolate it, that is what cloud is basically. What they are saying is, you don't know where your data is, you don't know how your data is stored, you just have an interface to your data, right? That's what cloud is. So once you have it in cloud, you don't know where you are. So that's the reason why in cloud 9, right? So that's good. But that's what happens, right? So to make cloud happen, there are very important technologies which is called containerization, right? So when you containerize, it's like having a ship. So you put everything in a container and put it in a ship, you are in a cloud because you are in the middle of the sea. Nobody can access it, right? But now only set of people who know how to communicate with the ship can access it. That's where it came out. It's called Docker. Docker is the main containerization platform. And to maintain Docker, because you have many containers, you need something called some system which is called Kubernetes. That's a very prevalent system that is used for maintaining containers. So why I talk about containerization is because in future of job market, that's where everybody is moving to. At least in my financial technology, that's where we are moving into. We are cloudifying everything, right? So Kubernetes is in short term, it's called K8s, and K8s are used for managing containers. Then the second aspect is, I talked to you about in my previous slide about computations, right? How computations are done. Because you cannot do an algorithm and just do, like for example, like you would have learned simplex methods or something like that, right? So when you use, there is a lot of data you will generate. So even statistical methods, you have to generate a lot of data. But to use the data and then compute some data points whereby you can invest or not is a compute engine. Like you need a big engine to do that. There are a couple of ways to do it. One is you write your own algorithm and do it, or you use something called Google Compute or Azure Compute engines, whereby they use machine data language to do it, right? That's where your AI and vision data and all this come, because they know a common trend of data and then they can compute that. And then second, on the rise, there's a rise of quantitative technologies, whereby we use regular statistics to construct a lot of data. So that's very, very prevalent, and it's growing like crazy because that's the only way people can do it, right? So there's a rise of quantitative technologies. Basically, we call it MCTR, marginal contribution to risk. So that's a huge data point that is used nowadays for calculating risk measures. Then on the storage side, like I'm going to go back on the storage side, which is cloud data storages. There's companies called Aerospike. There's a company called Snowflake, which is huge now because they are providing a distributed data warehouse in a cloud platform. So that's what they do. I work with them a lot, Snowflake, and Aerospike too, because Aerospike internally gives a lot of speed. Snowflake on the integration point of view gets a lot of speed because a lot of our customers, like middle office, back office, and back office people are in a common platform. And let's come back to the infrastructure side, like the pure infrastructure side, where you have the actual hardware, right? Pure storage, AWS, Azure, these are all providers for pure hardware. They can do that for you. And for us to have this data, there's a lot of providers. One is Bloomberg, FactSet, Capital IQ, S&P, Moody's, and Fitch. There are a lot of people who provide data. On the security side, we are more concentrating now because everybody is going towards cloud. Okta is a good company that is doing cloud security and data security in general. And Auth0 is another one, which has been there for a long time, but they have modeled it for cyber security and mechanisms so that people cannot get into your data in the cloud. So this is a simple diagram of investment management decision trade lifecycle. Yeah, PM is a portfolio manager who makes a strategy, and then they create some trades, and then the compliance and risk officer will come and evaluate whether the trade is good or bad. Then the trader will trade. Then there is a reconciliation within the system. They will send it to accounting, settlements, and the custodian is the one who is holding the paper. And you think that they give you a paper like you are the proud owner of Microsoft, but that custodian holds it. And there is a company for that. There's a bank for that actually. Bank of New York Mellon is the biggest custodian. So when I think about careers in fintech and science, data science, I think of it as an actor, right? You have to be an actor. So what an actor means, this is my own definition. He has to be an aggregator. So aggregate all the data, right? Like you want to aggregate all the data. Then you want to consolidate some of the information. Like you can say, this is not good data. I want to consolidate. And then transformation. You can be an ETL person, like extract, transform, and load person, right? That can be a person. And organization, like you have to be a person who can understand what the goals of the organization and goals of your customers are. And then you have to be a research and development head. That's what you need. So I thought I will go back to what a data scientist skills are, right? Bureau of Labor Statistics in the US has 5 things they said. One is analytical skills, which is basically like organized in their thinking. You have to be organized in your thinking, analytical research, and results, right? That's one thing. Consolidator would be have the biggest communication skills so that you can consolidate it. And you want to have a critical and logical thinking for its reasoning. That will be your transformation. So I will say, my data comes in here, like from this person as this data, and then I want to transform into my business. That's your thing. And organization is a totally loose term, but you have to have the ingenuity of doing stuff whereby you have innovative ways to solve problems. You need to know how to solve problems because your first idea will not be the best idea, but it will not be well intended, but it will not work. So you got to go at it with a lot of patience, a lot of things. And you have to have the hard skills, right? Like that when the research and development comes into. What is a hard skill is like you have to learn a lot of programming languages and software programs or packages maybe. For me, in quantitative technology side, we use a lot of QLib, NumPy from Python, and R language. These are the mostly used in our quantitative technologies. Other ways are regular databases like SQL Server, Oracle, or cloudified Azure platforms. That's what we use. On the front end side, we commonly use C# most of the time because that's a better front end development place. And then in the middle, we use Java. Front end, I use mostly JavaScript and Angular because that's where most of the programming is. And we store all the data in JSON format, which is JavaScript object notification. That's what I use because that's a common notation that is used across the world actually. So, and there are JavaScript databases too, so which is kind of interesting. So it's called GraphQL, and a lot of new technologies are coming up. So, what I want to do this. So, what do you need for an opportunity in fintech? Lots of patience. I am a data guy, so I didn't even know that I was a data guy, but I was a data guy all along because I love statistics. I love fast Fourier transforms. I loved our professor Arakim sir for teaching me a lot of stuff. So you need a lot of patience. You need to know data in and out. You need to know how data gets transformed and everything. And you got to have the passion, because this could be boring, because statistics is boring, but you got to have the passion for the data. And you got to have an acute tendency to identify new trends, right? For example, like right now, we are modeling on behavior, like how people behave. If COVID comes, how people are going to behave, right? Like that's one type. And then there's a cognitive science to it, or how people say, like, I show you a screen and I have black and blue, black and red. How are people going to react? What am I if I'm colorblind? You know, what I'm going to do, things like that. So we are taking those small things into consideration, even in developing a program. And then I call it noise identification or smoke, right? What does noise identification mean? When do you understand this data is relevant, good, I can use it for my studies, or I can eliminate it. Should I consider all Twitter data that is coming up to be good or bad? That comes up on the mood investing, or now it's called something else, but it's called mood investing. That happened in Twitter because we follow Twitter trends. If Modi becomes Prime Minister of India, then what will happen to U.S. economy? If Netanyahu becomes the Israel Prime Minister, what will become the U.S. economy? So we analyze those trends and moods and swings, how the policies will affect. So those are things are happening on Twitter, and we just go and do the analysis on that. As I told before, technologies are databases, algorithms. I love statistics, so that's what it is. Typical job titles in fintech industry is business analyst or technical analyst. That's it. Anything above that, if you say you are a CTO, everything, you are CTO of a financial technology firm, financial firm. That's it. That's all it means. But these are the two typical ways people look at it. And thank you very much. Any questions? We can have a lot of discussions, and I'm available all the time. And one more thing I want to do is, I was looking at Savarier's stuff. He said, like, try, don't lose hope, try all the time. That will work. I read a book called Only the Paranoid Survive. So if you are paranoid, you will survive. So that's a good thing. And then also he mentioned about LinkedIn. He mentioned about LinkedIn. You know the interesting thing about LinkedIn is called the 6th degree separation. So every 6th person is related to you. So that's where your data comes into play. So I stop here. Hope this helped. Thank you very much. Thank you, professors. I'm honored and I am humbled. Thank you very, very much. And I can look forward to any questions.
Thank you so much, Mani. It was such a wonderful seminar. Very interesting. And you know, students, this is exactly, it's going to be your industry. When you step into the industry, these are the terms you are going to hear. Maybe some of the terms you may not understand now, or maybe sometimes some of the terms will be more overloading or kind of little bit boring. But these are the terms you will be hearing and you will be breathing and you'll be living in this if you really get into the data scientist, data science related career. Mani, thank you so much. The way you presented is wonderful. You started with 50 degree. Oh, what is 50 degree? And elaborated to the very meaningful. And it's amazing. Even I learned a lot of things from you, Mani, especially on the data engineering. You talked about the good one, data scientists and the data architects and all that, the difference, the responsibility differences between all that. And also I liked the one that you said, actor. Amazing. I've never seen this kind of definition anywhere in the Google, actor, and very clearly put
I
it
got
there.
to patent it.
Thank you.
I got to patent it.
I see. Great. This is such a good one. I have never seen this one. And moreover, you put it very clearly. It says aggregate. What is the second one? Consolidate, transform, organize, organization, and research and development. And you mapped it to the other things, aggregator to organized thinker, and the consolidate to a communicator, transform to the logical reasoning. That's more important, right? When you speak of data, the logical reasoning, and then all those things. Definitely, it is wonderful. And students, these are the terms you'll be hearing: cloud, computing, modeling, infrastructure, data, what is it called, security, and then compliance. All these things, actually, these are the things when you get into the industry, these terminologies will become very familiar. If you get familiarized with these terminologies, it'll be very easy for you to even face the interviews. All these questions will be like this. He talked about the XML, he talked about the JSON, Java frontend, Angular, Python, R, and so many things. And people will look for, oh, do you have Azure expertise? So the Azure, AWS, Google Cloud, so many things he talked about, that his presentation is going to be your Bible. Meaning, if you go through that, some things may not be too much for you, but if you go through term by term, that's going to be your future. And imagine if you go into data science career, you will be living in these terminologies only forever. That's what it is.
You have to. You are right. This is going to be the future.
And the money, the Docker, the example why the name called Docker, the application, amazing. That's a very good explanation. The containerization and the ship, that's wonderful, money. That's very good. So amazing one. So students, I would encourage, go take these slides and go through it, and then go do some more research on this. Say he was talking about the modeling behavior. He's talking about the trends, mood, behavioral analysis, and so many things. And he talked about some of the students may not come from a computer science background. The algorithms and the some statistical methods you definitely need for this data science. Not too much, but some the statistical and the data structures you might need. So this is definitely money. This is such a Bible for me. Seriously. If I really want to do a data science, this has every keyword that I'm looking for, it's there in your slide. Amazing. So this is my thought. Go ahead.
Another thing, ரொம்ப புரியல அப்படின்னா, like if you want to ask தமிழ் கேட்கணும்னா கூட கேளுங்க. I can try to answer. எவ்வளவு முடியுமோ அவ்வளவு பண்றேன்.
Sure. The tick trading and all, very interesting topics, Mani. That's wonderful to know how people manipulate that little bit technological stuff to manipulate the stocks. I have a question for you, Mani. Since you talked about a lot of stocks, and I have a question. I think maybe I'll give you some background about the question first. In 2009, Satyam CEO, Ramalinga Raju, what is his name? Ramalinga His name is Ramalingam.
Yeah.
Ramalinga Raju.
Ramalinga Raju. Yeah, his name is Ramalinga Raju. He was convicted of corporate fraud. Okay. Basically, what it is that he said he has $1.1 billion. I'm not talking about the crores. If you go and talking about the crores, it's almost 5,000 crores. So he's saying $1.1 billion in his bank balance, and he said he has in cash. But actually, what he had is 76 million. 1,000 million is 1 billion. So see the difference. So because of that, the stock price went up like anything the company was doing, all because of this accounting fraud. This is well known, publicly known. It's in the Wikipedia, so we can very boldly talk about that. So how in this today's technology, having this kind of data science and data scientific calculations and all this kind of analytical tools, how do they prevent, or is there any mechanism to prevent such kind of stock fraud or company doing some kind of accounting frauds?
In US, there are surely a lot of ways to do it because there is regulations and laws that go with it, right? In India, it may be a different, harder thing to do because that is not our way of doing things. So, for example, right, like today you go to a shop, right? When you go to a shop, அங்க போய் நான் காய்கறி வாங்க ₹1 எடுத்துன்னு போங்க. ஸோ அங்க போய் அங்க வந்து 10 பைசா இல்லை 10 பைசா இல்லைன்னு வச்சுப்போம். ஸோ டுமாரோ நாளைக்கு கொண்டு வந்துடுறேன் அப்படிங்கிற. So you have an agreement. Both will understand. இல்லையா? இங்க வந்து நம்ம யூஎஸ்ல you can't even take a penny out, right? You got to put a penny, take a penny, right? அந்த மாதிரி. So when that comes, there is a lot of verbal transactions, verbal communication, verbal things that are happening. So what happens is when I show my books, I can show whatever I want. That's what happened in India, right? And in 2009, exactly, the corporate fraud was basically cooking the books, saying that I have this much money, I have this much investment, this is the value of the investment, so it's overinflated, right? Now வந்து ரொம்ப inflate பண்ணி அந்த value comes in. US it's much more harder to do. There are cases like that, but very hard to do. If like if you say that I have 1.1 billion, there is going to be an IRS audit, right? Like Internal Revenue Service will come and audit you. No worries about it. They will take the money from you. No worries at all, right? They even take your tax up front, right? You don't pay tax later. You pay tax up front, right? So there is manipulation still going on in US, but it's much more less because there's more regulations to prevent that. India on the regulation because our country is more democratic, more socialist country. It's not a capitalist country like US. Yes. Another there's a difference. So nowadays it may be much better because everybody knows, like if you say Reliance, right? Like everybody is fighting for Reliance. Why? Because a lot of people have public knowledge, public information, a lot of things are happening. So it's much more harder to cook the books when there's a lot of money. When it's small money, you can so you can do I can take this money from this company and then put it in some other island and nobody knows. Everybody says Swiss bank. There is a lot of things happening, right? But it's more controlled. If that answers you.
Yep. Sounds good.
Here, if you take in the US, right, all the public limited public companies, they have to file something called a 10Q every 3 months. And changing the 10Q is a serious offense. And the 10Q is not prepared just internal employees. There is like a PricewaterhouseCoopers, like a external they come and audit. So yes, it's not worth it. So even like the $1 trillion company can go down if there is a mistake.
The consequences is too much that I think Ramalinga Raju is still in jail.
No, even here, what was the company like in the Oklahoma 20 years back? It was like a big
Enron.
company.
Enron?
Oh, Enron.
Yeah.
What is that? No, Enron. Is it Enron?
Enron, yeah.
Yeah. Enron.
Enron,
See, it went down,
problem
right?
was not Enron problem was not fraud. So the Enron problem was more of people investing in their own company, and then the company went down because they couldn't provide the services they were supposed to provide. So that's a different thing. Fraud is more accounted with. There are companies who take the money and put it in Cayman Islands, right? Like we talk about Cayman, we talk about other islands where they have shell companies, right? You have a shell company of a shell company of a shell company.
So
that's where the problem happens. It's like a Benami company, right? So like that's what happens.
Cool. I have a question, Mani.
Yeah.
You spoke about lot of tools, lot of technologies. Do you know all that, Mani?
I predominantly work on all of them.
Wow.
Yeah. That's my passion, right? It could be boring, and that's what I said. It's my passion, but I love it.
No wonder why you got the award from Dr. Abdul Kalam.
That was absolute. I won't say anything about it. I was lucky. That's all I can say. I was lucky. I was lucky to get the 3 awards from Dr. Abdul Kalam. So that I was lucky.
Students, please feel free to ask questions. Any questions? There are no questions. Right questions, wrong questions. Questions are questions.
Even if it is not fintech, you can ask me. That's fine. Yeah. I can answer you.
Okay, so this is Krishant. I have one doubt. So when we talk about the investment, is it possible to invest through the digital currency or Bitcoin?
Yes, you are eligible to do it, but you will not be going through a regular exchange. So exchange is an important concept where you can trade, right? So with Bitcoin and other blockchain, other technologies are more decentralized. So when I say decentralized, it means that there is no government regulation, right? Like there is no government exchange. So you have to trade it in that exchange. Like Ethereum is a platform that allows you to trade Bitcoins. So there are many Bitcoins, many Bitcoin types. The Bitcoin itself is a big market, and then that is like a Dow Jones, right? Like it comprises of everything. That if that goes up and goes down, it means that all the Bitcoins are going up or going down. That's what it means. But Ethereum is a platform that you will use to trade. And there are some exchanges that allow you to trade Bitcoins. And nowadays, like JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley and other companies have started some funds called Bitcoin funds, whereby you can invest in the fund instead of the actual Bitcoin. But you go through the same risk of Bitcoin going up or down because it's not a controlled exchange, right? Like if say you take you have I have $1, I can exchange it for 75 rupees, right? But that kind of exchange is centralized, more centralized and more regulated, right? But tomorrow you go and invest in Bitcoin and somebody says that I don't have US, what are you going to do? You can't go to a court. There's no court for it. So that's the complexity of Bitcoin, but you can still invest in it. There are many Bitcoins. Ethereum is a platform to that.
Just for information, sir, we have one of our classmates. His name is Arul Thomas Arul, and he's a guru in blockchain and Bitcoin's technology. So he has accepted to give us a seminar on Bitcoins as well. So
perfect.
Yep.
Excellent, sir. Dear students, if you have doubt or clarification, you can ask in English and Tamil too. Don't hesitate to ask questions.
I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sir, starting of this lecture, you said that there are some treasuries happen in trading system. How we prevent that using the data set? Sir, can you hear me?
I'll hang on 1 second. Which one are you talking about?
I think the initial
First slide.
So you said that there are some treasuries happen in a trading system.
You mean the loss or the system failure?
Yeah.
Tick trading.
Are you talking about tick trading or are you talking about which one are you talking about? எதை பத்தி சொல்லுங்க?
So starting said that treasuries happen in a trading system.
Tragedies?
I think the second slide.
Second slide.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let me see.
Second or third slide, I think.
Tragedies. Trying to think. Trading system.
To talk about brokers, that time you said that some treasuries happen in the trading system.
Oh, the tragedies.
I said that.
Okay.
I think that's something to do with the tick trading money. So they put a lot of.
Okay.
Explain that.
Okay. So like not
tick trading.
Okay, simple.
But it's not allowed anymore, right? Now
it's not allowed. Yeah. முன்னாடி எப்படி இருந்ததுன்னா, like I will tell you in a different way, right? முன்னாடி எப்படி இருந்ததுன்னா, say நீங்க வந்து பாம்பே எக்ஸ்சேஞ்சில் இருக்கீங்க, பாம்பேல ஒரு எக்ஸ்சேஞ்ச் இருக்கு, மட்ராஸ்ல ஒரு எக்ஸ்சேஞ்ச் இருக்கு இல்லையா? So நான் என்ன பண்ணலாம்னா, I can go and buy a stock in Madras, right? மெட்ராஸ்ல $50 வாங்கிக்கலாம். ஆனா பாம்பே எக்ஸ்சேஞ்சில் வந்து $51 வந்து செல் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கோம். That is ask பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்க. So நான் என்ன பண்ணுவேன்னா, I will buy it in 50 in Madras and sell it at 51 in Bombay. So I make $1 in a fraction of a second. நான் அப்ப என்ன பண்ணலாம்னா, what I can do is I can make my algorithm find things, data like this, right? நம்ம எங்க இருந்து எங்க போறதுங்கிறத பார்த்துட்டு I can just do it like in a second. So it's called a tick, right? Look, I based only 1 second to do that, right? நான் அது வந்து எப்படின்னா 1 secondல பண்ணனா it was called tick trading. And the algorithms வந்து எப்படின்னா நம்ம எழுதுற algorithm, like sorting algorithm, like because it's so powerful that I can find two places and find the difference and then just do it. இப்போ வந்து என்ன பண்ணாங்கன்னா, you can't do it anymore because there's a law called Dodd-Frank rule in US-ல. So you can't do it anymore. What happened is the exchanges are now connected. So if I try to do that, I will be penalized so much. I can't even do it. Like, it will stop doing it anyway. So there is prevention is better than cure. So that's what I was talking about. So hope I explained to you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
So Mani, the algorithm you said, right? You said algorithm. Meaning you write your own work, your own script in your side, your client side, your browser side. You go automatically and find that value and then do it. Kind of QA automation tools, kind of.
Correct.
Right.
So how it works is very simple, right? Like in a way, it's very simple. Think about it. I have 2 pipes, right? 2 pipes of data coming from 2 different exchanges, right? Like namakula and server connection, internet connection. Like think of it as 2 internet connections, right? this program like is running, right? Always running. And when the data comes in, I know that in pipe A, the data comes in as 50. On pipe B, data comes in at 51. I know the difference. I can do that. I can bicep. So it'll be only a second difference, right? But it is allowed. At that time, it was allowed. Algorithmic trading was allowed. But what happened is it crashed the market sometimes. So what happened is like one of the stock, like Qualcomm stock, one day it went like, typically what happened is when we had the, the dot-com boom in the when the dot-com happened, right? Like people did this manipulation of, well, there's a lot of people did this whole big thing, right? So what happened is New York Stock Exchange said, we are going to stop trading on certain stocks, right? That's the only way they could prevent it. Now it's much more harder to do it. Hope I explained that.
Yeah. That's a very interesting one, the ticker.
Yeah. I wrote algorithms for it. So.
Oh, cool.
That's the reason I know.
You must be a billionaire one money.
I should have been, but I didn't know how to save the money. Any other questions?
Mani, you talked about so many softwares. You never said anything about the SaaS. You haven't used the SaaS? That's one. I feel like that's really a power. It is expensive, but I think it's really a powerful for the data science. I don't know what students use. Yeah.
Okay.
Software as a service.
I never. No, he's talking about SAS, not SaaS. SaaS.
No, not SAS.
Software as a service, right? SAS. I don't use it because the problem is in our industry, basically in financial fintech industry, most of them come in. Data comes in as JSON or something called pandas, right? Which is Python data frames, right? So those are the two ways data comes in. So if I have to have a sparse matrix to manipulate data, I use pandas, which is Python, which is NumPy, right? So NumPy is very prevalent, and R is more prevalent because a lot of statisticians use R language. I have never seen fintech and SaaS used that much.
Yeah, the small companies, like the big companies, like a portfolio managers, traders, like the risk managers, we heavily use SaaS because the thing is and we don't have any technology background or big coding skills. So what we want is not the data, or we want the story behind the thing. So we use that.
So if you this will come as a surprise to a lot of people. The most heavily used software in financial technology, can anybody answer that?
The banks.
It's Excel. Excel.
Everybody
uses Excel. Everybody uses Excel, right? That's the most heavily used software in the industry.
Actually, I was about to tell you. Yeah, the pivot table. I don't know if anybody used that. It's a feature inside a Excel called a pivot table. It's a wonderful data science tool. So all the front office people, any software you guys gave, immediately we ask, do you have any Excel export?
Yeah, exactly.
We do it all. We won't even accept it. Yeah.
That has wonderful features, that Excel. Even it has the features of MS Access kind of features in the Excel itself. It's
You can
amazing.
you can go and get internet data too.
Wow, true, yeah.
You can go to the internet.
Yep.
So I have not personally used SAS because internally I develop programs, so I use Pandas most of it.
Yeah.
So it's not bad for students to go explore Excel. We always, many times we just take things for granted. Oh, Excel, Word document, oh, it's free. So things all free, Google Docs all free. We just take it granted. But they have amazing features like Excel, like Murali said, the pivot table and the VLOOKUPs and all this.
Yeah.
People who came from the non-computer science background. Now, there are students, they come from the statistical and pure computer science background, and for them maybe it's not a bad idea to go and explore and do some kind of play around Excel, and find out what kind of mean, medium, and all the standard deviation, all the statistical functions are readily available. You don't need to even know the formula for the standard deviation. It's all there. Linear progression, when you linear progression, all this kind of, and the derivative, the slope, and all these things are already built in Excel. Just explore. Definitely, since you already stepped into the data, need it. So don't just take it. Excel, it's so free to. Yeah, you can always explore that.
So one example, I am moving $50 billion worth of fund from one system to another system using Excel. 50 billion.
Wow.
Not much. One system to another system, one legacy system to current system. I'm moving data. $50 billion. So you should use Excel. People will ask for you. Will ask for that. So do you know Excel?
Money. I was working for a trading desk. It's all in Excel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any other questions, students, staff?
Yes, sir. One question from the student.
Yep.
So what kind of mindset and how the students have to approach in fintech industry today and future?
Mindset and approach.
Mindset. Okay. Let me go back to the thing. Right. The mindset would be a lot of patience, and you need to understand a lot more than what I said. Right. Like it's when I said a data point in fintech is always relative, right? So the approach should be any data that comes in is informative for me. I need to decipher whether it is a noise or a good thing for the business at that point in time. If the data came in 5 minutes earlier, it may be useless. If it came at the time and it is useful for my organization, that's when it is. So to identify, you got to have the real skill to identify it. So it will become boring a little bit. Then if you dwell in it and then see how the data itself is changing, then you will understand that, oh, it's a purely good information if I interpret this data for my organization in the correct way. That's what they are looking for, right? Everybody is looking for that small amount of time when it is useful for me. So if I say, for example, right, let's consider an example, like say Microsoft stock went down by $2. Like let's assume that it went down by $2. When it goes down by $2, if I think that data point is very critical for my organization, I need to use the data and report it back, right? When I report it back, so my company can invest in that when it went down. So what happens is next day when it comes out, I make profit, right? That's pretty much it, right? That's the, or I can say this $2 going down is still a bigger risk. It has to go $4 down. That is also a good data point because that will suit another person investment mindset, right? Like for example, I can be very aggressive, right? I can say I am aggressive to take losses. So I can say, okay, I will go with the stock because it's going up and down, right? But Berthelot may not be. Berthelot may be, no, I want everything smooth and riding. I can wait for 50 years, but it can go up slowly, very, very much. So there are people like that. So when it comes two different mindset of people who are investing, that data point becomes very interesting when it goes up or goes down. So data is important only when it has time factor associated with it. If it comes in correct time, you're good. If it comes in earlier than correct time, that can make the correct time happen, that's much more better. So that should be the mindset. So the person who is going into this industry should understand that that's the crux everybody is looking for. That's your differentiator, right? That presence of mind is your differentiator. So for the presence of mind to come, you got people will say that you are lucky. You know what luck is? Luck is nothing but hard work. When hard work and preparation, when it meets opportunity, that's what luck is. So you have to do a lot of hard work. Then there will be an opportunity. Then both will meet at the time. Then you are lucky.
Yeah, and to add to this, I think one more point also, Mani. As a data scientist, you need to have a open-minded, meaning things always will be challenging. So earlier, there's 1 year back, the data is different. Now the data is different because due to the pandemic, the data is changing. So
absolutely.
You need to have that logical reasoning. Mani was already talked about that. So yeah, definitely.
And more data is available too, because it gives you more and more data to analyze, right? Like 1 year before, there were less points to analyze. Now there are more points to analyze because there is a COVID. There is other factors that influence how data is going to change.
So in a nutshell, we can put it's a timeliness, completeness, and adequacy. All three attributes. You need to have that mindset to, okay, I need to do it timely. You need to work on timely, and then work on the completeness of the data and the adequacy of the analysis you do. Incomplete analysis doesn't help. Incomplete data doesn't help. Wrong timing doesn't help. So all these things come together.
Exactly. It has to be all together. And if you can predict that this will be adequate after 1 second, that you are the winner.
And we have now tremendous computing power. So if you think about it, right, the phones that we have, maybe like 1,000 times faster than the computer that we used back in 91, right, Mani?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that terabytes
even
of
more,
data.
even more faster than, or heavier than, or even more features. The capacity device is bigger than the one which went to moon in Apollo 11. That was only XT went in. Yeah, APC XT. All right, very nice session. Any other questions from students?
Don't be shy. I'm from the last bench.
Yeah, me too.
The Thomas Arlberg was talking about the successful. He was also next to me. So like, it's not just for the first bench guys like money. So the world is for everybody. Just the courage and the,
You got to have good friends too. So, you got to have the right friend and the right advice at the right time. So you have good friends, good teachers, and think about it. the teacher whom I say I'm lucky now is the same teacher for you. So you guys are all lucky. Even you are all right
He's
away.
now more experienced than the 25 years before, you know.
Exactly. Exactly. And he's still my teacher, right?
Yeah.
So he's your teacher now. So you got to be lucky by default.
Okay. Thank you so much,
Any
Mani.
other questions?
Thank you, Savaria. Savari left actually. Thank you for this wonderful session.
Before
Sir,
I
if you
close,
want to do a concluding, that'd be
before
wonderful.
Bartolom, one more thing. You have my email address. You can
Yes.
give them my email address. The students, if they want to ask questions directly to me, I'm fine. I'm happy to answer that.
We will be having one session for the LinkedIn, all kinds of social, the professionals connections. So that will help the students to start writing their own profile, marketing themselves to the market, you know. So definitely we would need your LinkedIn, your emails. We will share with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sir Chris, could you conclude that, sir?
Yes, sir. Okay. I would like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you. Okay, so first of all, I thank today's guest speakers, Mr. Savaria and also Mr. Mani, for their valuable time and their wonderful sharing. Okay, I thank you, sir. And also I thank our core team. Okay, Mr. Batlam Joseph, Mr. Murali, Mr. Sundar, and Mrs. Jeevalata, and their constant support and their availability during these seminars. Thank you each and every one. Also, I'd like to thank our head of the department and our faculty members for their constant support. And finally, I would like to thank Reverend Dr. Sandhyahu, our vice principal, and his team, ICT team, for providing this support and everything. I want to thank for Sandhyahu too. And finally, my dear students and those who participated in this webinar, I would like to thank each and every one of you. Thank you.